So, Elliot,
Hello.
what if it was overtime and you were playing on Inferno, but the map was actually good?
I wouldn't have stuck around long enough to find out if it was actually good. I would have rage tilted out by round 4 after my IGL had picked the map.
Okay. So from that, I'm going to guess that you're not happy that Inferno still remains in the map pool.
I'm not actually. It's a miserable watch every time it comes on. A truly, truly miserable watch. And I would prefer if I never had to watch it again, never had to play it again, and once again, never had to watch it ever again.
I mean, in the nicest way, mate. You don't really play CS2 anyway, so I don't really think
Inferno's still in the
playing
map
it
pool.
is affecting you.
If Inferno wasn't in the map pool, I might come back.
No, you wouldn't.
I might do. Who knows?
You've got a fucking life now, mate. You ain't coming back.
Yeah, well, you know.
Oh, but
I've got to teach my kids someday how to play.
alright, ignoring your life because I don't actually fucking care about it. But you can't tell me, genuinely, you enjoy watching Vertigo more than Inferno.
Yeah, I do.
You're fucking
Well, okay.
lame.
I enjoy them both about as much as each other, but I always preferred playing Vertigo, so I had it slightly higher on the list. Don't get me wrong, Vertigo is terrible and had to die, obviously, but Inferno is also garbage.
Okay, yeah, I'm alright with that.
Yeah,
I am
like,
alright with that.
Neither of them should be in the map pool. They put in anything. I actually don't care.
Do you know
put
what
in,
the issue is, though?
Put in Array from Black Ops. The most forgettable
Yeah.
COD map ever.
No, put in Array, that's better. No, but do you know what the issue is, in all seriousness? Fucking
is?
Train should not be in the map pool either.
I have no opinion on Train
This
yet.
Train
I've
is
not played
not good. It is not good. I interviewed Krisen in December. He's OG's IGL, if you weren't aware.
As a rule,
so-
I'm not aware of who's on OG.
Well, quite.
Deliberately.
I wasn't until I interviewed him. Lovely guy though. Shout out Krisen. But he kind of changed my mind on certain parts of the map. But he said, you know, like for all they've practiced it, they have just learned that it's just not. It's not in a good place. Like it still needs so much work.
I remember well, over 12 months ago now, when we heard about CS2, and we were all just a bit worried. Like Valve just like to meddle, don't they? They have something that works, and they just like to tinker, and they just keep doing it. Like they tinkered with the tick rate instead of just going to 128 tick, which everyone liked. They had to tinker. They had to change it. They tinkered with smokes. I don't particularly like the fact you can blow smokes, but whatever. Who cares? They tinkered with the loadout screen. Okay, that one kind of don't mind, but they just keep tinkering. Train wasn't completely fine.
No,
But the problems were not, in my eyes, on the A site. They were on the B site. We didn't need to change the A site massively. The A site was the best map in Counter-Strike. You just leave it alone. Don't mess with it.
I'm not
They
sure
did the same thing with
best
Cobble.
site in Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it was. So fun.
No, it was a lot of fun, but I do think, like, with how CT-sided it was at times, it's hard to define it as...
The game should be
The best
CT-sided.
No, I agree, but Train took that to extremes at certain points.
Yeah, fine. But I mean, I think an 11-4 C again, it should be. The game should be MR15. An 11-4 CT-sided map is just fine in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean...
the problem is that, again, MR12 kind of messes with that. And
the A site is now just a big problem, though. Like,
yeah, they did the same thing with Cobble.
Cobble, just that map got killed, and I'm worried that Train has actually gone the same way as Cobble.
Yeah.
And that Valve, for all of their fucking ego, because it's the same ego that built the subtick system, will never actually save it. And unfortunately, unlike Cobble, which also would have been bad, we have now been trapped with Train, and will probably be trapped with Train in the same way that we were trapped with Vertigo. Because this train ain't good. Like, the way Ivy works, terrible.
I haven't played enough to.
Well, I mean, is one smoke, Ivy's gone out the map.
Right.
Like it's just not good. I feel better about Pop Dog after speaking to Chrism. Still think the old version's better.
Yeah, again, like, why did it need tinkering with?
And the changes
Everyone
they
loved
made to
Pop Dog.
B, the changes they made to fucking B, like that angle from like the hut on the upper long heaven, whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah.
That hut on there, you just look down to ramp and you just get a free kill. Like, sure, when there's flash coming over, you're probably going to get blinded, but like, time that well, like quick shot, whatever. It's a free kill angle, which I know existed on train anyway, but like that one didn't need to be created.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm not somebody who hates change. I'm really not. I was all for Ancient. I was all for Anubis. But if you're going to bring back a map that people liked, don't change what people liked about it. It just frustrates me. Cobble, the problem was always the B site. And okay, you can make the argument that people love the B site, so they shouldn't have changed it, and I'm going against what I just said. But I thought the A site on Cobble was really cool. The only reason nobody liked it was because nobody ever went there because it was so easy to hit B. So
I mean, I always thought Cobble was dog shit, so I ain't gonna say anything nice about that map.
Cobble, I mean, it was flawed, but I liked it.
I got my first 1v5 on it. That's the only nice thing I have to say about it.
I won a 1v5 on Nuke, and I choked one on Mirage, where I could have stuck the bomb and came off it to try and kill the last guy.
Yeah. Was I in that game?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was. The worst thing that ever happened to me was on Cobble, by the way, before we talk about roster moves, because I'm sick of talking about Train being killed because it makes me sad. Cobble, the once, it was round 30. I had 2 kills. I clutched.
All been there.
Yeah, miserable game, but I clutched 1v2 to win us the game, to draw the game. So, with me having 2 kills, that's a win in my books.
Yeah.
And if we're going to talk about wins, I feel like that's a nice way to segue into probably the biggest win-win roster move of the last few weeks. Ropz to Vitality and EliGE to FaZe. So I'll let you pick which one we talk about first.
Let's talk about Ropz, because Vitality are above them in the rankings, and that seems like a reasonable reason. Yeah, I mean, I think this is... I mean, obviously Ropz is a good player. Very, very, very good player, obviously. But I do think he's a stylistic change from Spinx in some ways. I think T-side, they're both very passive, but Spinx activates in the late round on a flank, where I feel like Ropz more often rejoins with his team. I don't know if that's something you would agree with. That, to me, feels like it makes more sense. Ropz looks more for a late round clutch in a 3v3, whereas Spinx will go for a flank. But then Ropz on Mouse was more of a flanking element. But also on CT's side, I think Spinx is like, he has his aggressive moves that you don't see Ropz do as often. The problem is I'm thinking of Overpass now, which obviously isn't in the map pool, but Spinx was very often like what I would call it a creative player on their CT side of Overpass. Like, he was the one who would make a play. He would be like on an unexpected angle away from his team where he would try and get a double kill. Ropz is a lot safer on CT side and probably on T side as well, to be honest. But do Vitality even need... like? Do Vitality need somebody to create openings for them? Like, they literally have one of the best teams. Like, this team is top to bottom extremely good at Counter-Strike.
Well, I think the thing is as well, like, they do have someone who creates openings for them, and he does it exceedingly fucking well.
Yeah.
And actually having Ropz in the team will just allow him to do it more. Yeah.
Because they don't need ZywOo for the late round now. Like, it used to be if ZywOo goes for a pick and he dies, Vitality's like late round presence is gone. Whereas, like, you still have Ropz for a late round. Like he's still an X factor player in a late round situation.
I wasn't even talking about Zyro. I was talking about Flames.
Well, there's also Flames.
Like Flames is third or fourth best aggressive player in the world.
Yeah,
depending on how you want to look at it. Whether you know
behind EliGE, funnily enough.
Well, that's why I'd say fourth.
Yeah,
like
I would have EliGE above him.
But of course, if you're HLTV, then
well, yeah, but they're right. Oh, I'm not going to get into this because it would be a 1 minute rant. HLTV top 20 isn't the 20.
We can do it.
It isn't. But
I'll set the timer.
Okay, do it.
All right, give me a second. Right. Okay. Stopwatch. Reset that because so do you remember when we did that in the last podcast? Now
you still had a few seconds left.
No. I didn't pause it. I noticed it when it had been going for 120 hours.
Oh god.
So
okay.
All right, you got 1 minute. 3, 2, 1.
Why are people annoyed that the HLTV top 20 isn't just their top 20 personal players? That you can't rank the top 20 just based on who's the best 20 players in the world, because that's not what it is. It's like it's the same as when people get annoyed at like the Ballon d'Or. Oh, they didn't pick like Mo Salah. Mo Salah didn't fucking win anything. You can't. The point of competition is to win. Players who don't win shouldn't be recognised for awards like this. The top 20, HLTV's top 20 isn't who are the 20 best players this year. It's that's not what, explicitly not what it is. It's about their performance within the year, and that has to include their team performance. It's insane to believe that it doesn't. There's a reason this is the first time Jean Tires has ever been on it, and it's not because he's not ever been good before. Like, he has to have... You can't prove somebody's good at the game unless they actually win something. So stop saying this player should be in when they didn't fucking win anything. Anyway, EliGE...
That was fucking bang on.
EliGE probably the fourth best player, though. I've got no idea what HOTV you're talking about.
But yeah, I mean, going back to Ropz. Ropz is at least equal to Spinx. Realistically, he's better. He frees up Flames to become a... Not that Flames wasn't already a star, but Flames can be like...
Frozen. Well, no, actually not Frozen, but like... I was thinking when they...
But he can be the, like, aggressive star of this team now, rather than like... Yeah, but he's not really a star, is he? He's just having a good year.
Yeah.
Like, now, like, it's full on, like, you're going to... Or at least you expect he's going to be getting much better roles on the CT side. None of these fucking anchor positions that he's clearly got too much ADHD to really handle.
Yeah.
And
yeah, Ropz could actually play star anchor roles, and he's really good at it. Like Queserato.
To be honest, like, with how Spirit played in the major, it should make them more consistent. I'd expect this Vitality team to be the most consistent next year, though.
Yes, but like they have been pretty consistent, I think, for the last 2 years, and it's great being consistent 8 or 9 out of 10. But when there's enough teams that can peak at 10, you don't actually win that.
I don't dispute that. It's like what Harry used to say about Heroic, that like
yeah.
You know, if Counter Strike was a league, Heroic would win it every time.
Yeah. But I think I told him that.
So they don't. Oh, well. Just as it's been for years, any good take he's ever made has come from you first.
I'm not even sure if it's true, but I've definitely thought that. And said it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a better team because of it. I'm just intrigued as to what happens to Mezzy in the long run.
I don't see a need for them to change anything. Like, is Mezzy slightly wasted doing this? Kind of, but he also wouldn't be a star on a team like Vitality anyway.
No, I don't either. I still just have this feeling that unless Jim Fat really does have a hard-on for Munacy, then, you know, eventually it's going to happen, innit? But also, like, maybe Jim Fat going to Vitality now would just create the whole Ropz Frozen issue.
I don't think they need Jim Fat now. They've got Ropz.
Maybe not. So,
Ropz is your star anchor, as it were.
So now that we spoke about that and the Ropz frozen issue that GymFat might create, let's talk about FaZe. Because I'm bored of talking about French people.
Yeah, I try to avoid it as much as possible.
Well, yeah, but we've just done it for like 10 minutes,
So, I talked about Spinx to Ropz being a slight difference in style. Ropz to EliGE is a massive swing, but EliGE might be a better player than Ropz. I don't know. I'm not. He's less consistent, but he's really, really good.
I think that is gonna purely depend on who takes what roles, because Rain or EliGE will be changing their playstyle.
Yeah, it's gonna be Rain, because Rain is more. He's older, so they go, oh yeah, now it's your time to sit at the back. But also, like, Rain plays some, like, big site anchor roles on CT side anyway, what I remember. So they'll have EliGE just, like, aggro. Like, on Mirage, for example, EliGE will get, like, Con, or maybe not Con, but Short, whichever one Frozen doesn't play. And Rain's always been an A side anchor. It's more on the T side, I suppose. But I think EliGE will be a, like, aggressive lurk. Rain will be the hard entry on actual executes, I think is what it will look like.
Yeah.
EliGE second man in, Rain first man in. Frozen like eighth man in.
Yeah, Rain just becomes what Twist used to be.
Rain becomes like Rush on Optic. Like he just becomes like a hard role player. But Rush was actually very good at it back then, and Rain will be as well. Like he was a hard first bullet in, you get one bullet off, you either kill somebody or die. CT side, you get stuck in like an impossible position, get one.
Yeah.
That will be Rain's role. And he'll be good at it.
I do think, though, like, the big win for FaZe here, it's not even the fact that they've got EliGE, who is clearly, like, still one of the best players in the world. It's that Frozen and Ropz aren't on the same team.
Yeah, that's good, right? Because now, like, Frozen EliGE makes much more sense than Frozen Ropz.
Yeah.
It just simply does.
And Frozen Ropz may have worked when they were both on mouse. Yeah. But Ropz left mouse and Frozen evolved.
Yeah, into Ropz's positions.
He evolved to a point that those two could never be on a team together again. And it's a bit of a shame, because they probably could have been one of the best rifle duos.
Yeah. But like, I think Frozen always wanted to play like that, and he just couldn't because Ropz did.
Yeah. And
if there's anyone I trust to get the best out of any set of stars, it's Carrigan. You just let him cook.
Yeah, and again, like, I think this should make FaZe more consistent.
Yeah.
But I do have my doubts.
I think Ropz, I mean, you saw at the major, like, he had that moment where he was just the guy on stage. But I don't think that's a regularity that he was the guy on stage, certainly this year. But then EliGE hasn't played on a stage for a while because he was on Complexity. So, you know, who knows? I think FaZe are going to be fine. I don't think they're going to be top 3 for most of the year. But they're still going to be... They'll probably still win a tournament.
Yeah, I think my thing with FaZe is that I always just completely doubt their ability to be consistent, because we know that Brokey can just go fucking ice cold at points, and I'm not saying
in both senses of the word.
Well, yeah, and I'm not saying that it's just him that does that, because it's not. But FaZe have always been this weird streaky team.
Yeah,
they're just quite good for about 6 months, and then they have about 9 months of looking completely fucking hopeless in terms of ever doing anything. Like, realistically, how surprising was it they were in the major final?
Oh, it was like incredible. Like, I had, until they got to playoffs, I was convinced they were going to like go out 0-3 at each stage, or like 2-3 at each stage. So I had no faith in them.
I don't have faith in them in playoffs. Like,
as soon as they got to playoffs, I saw who they were playing. I was like, oh fuck it, they're going to win one at least.
Yeah, you say that, but you could say that in Cologne and then Saw fucking beat them. Like, it's
yeah,
just
but
FaZe,
I actually,
they're just a weird team.
I actually did write in the newsletter. I was like, this is the exact sort of game FaZe will win, because there is no way FaZe win this game. Whereas against Saw,
well, yeah,
Against Saw, they had a chance, so I'm like, I could write them off. Against Vitality, no sensible person would have FaZe winning, and that's the time when they're going to win. Like, that's the only thing you can back them on.
Yeah. I hope it does make FaZe consistent.
I don't.
I'll say that.
I hope it makes them worse.
Why?
You've got an American on the team now.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, fair. I mean, I was saying it for Carrigan and Frozen, because I quite like them.
Carrigan's won plenty.
But yeah, my dislike
Time to
of
step aside,
Americans
old man.
does outweigh things. You've got a point. But do you have a point about Liquid signing Nerds?
No, move on. Nerds is really, really good. That's every team he joins gets better, so I think they'll be better than they were. Also, he's replacing Yakindo.
Okay,
frankly, awful.
Okay, yeah. So let's start with Yakindo.
I mean, he's been awful for a while.
It's fun to do this.
It's
Fucking dog shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad because I liked Yakindo before he was on Virtus Pro, and I think I might be the only person in the world who can say that's true. But he's been dog shit.
Playing for?
I watched him play one game on Monolith and was like, yeah, this guy's great. I think he was AWPing back then as well.
Why were you watching a team called fucking Monolith?
The caster was a friend of mine. So I was watching them. I watched him play like one game. He was AWPing and he just shit on everyone. I was like, yeah, this guy's great. And then he like turned up randomly on VP like 3 years later. Like, oh yeah, I know this guy. And he was an entry fragger. And then he was like good for a while. And I was like, yeah, I'm all in. And then he has just been. I mean, he's not helped by like the fact that Team Liquid are not set up to have a player like Yakindo. If you're gonna have Yakindo, you have to be like, you have to either do what Virtus Pro did, which is like save as soon as he dies, basically. Send him in somewhere. Like, you ever play Worms?
Yeah.
You know when you send in the sheep?
Yeah.
You just send him in, he blows up, whatever he takes, you then, if he doesn't get a kill, you save. If he blows somebody up, you go in. Or, you have to go all in on the Yakindo and just follow him everywhere he goes.
Okay.
Liquid just had no idea what to do when he died.
But here's the problem. They might not have been set up for a player like Yakindo, and he was forced into shit situations, and that didn't help him.
That is true.
They kind of needed a player willing to do that, though, and Nerds ain't that.
No, he's not.
And this is my issue with this signing. What the fuck? Who's replacing Yakindo? Because they clearly need a Yakindo replacement now.
So I think it's Twist.
Twist ain't going to sandbag himself like that.
I think he has to.
I think it will be JKS.
I could be, actually. He did it on FaZe for that
here's
one.
Here's what I think will happen. I think it will be JKS. It'll go fucking horribly.
Yeah.
And in 6 months' time, JKS will be kicked for an IGL.
And they bring back Yakindo.
If they
to
do
IGL.
If they do that, so many Liquid fans will visit Canadian doctors, and it won't be good. It certainly won't be good.
The problem...
Liquid fans will suddenly be atting Twist and just being like, yo bro, who's your doctor? I need to see him.
I understand, right? This might be unpopular. But the problem with JKS...
He said he's Australian.
He said he's Australian. No. Is that he's not good enough to be the player he wants to be anymore. He wants to be a passive player, but he's not as good as the really top tier passive players.
Well, he's nowhere near as good as Naf.
Yeah.
Even the person on his team, he's like leagues below.
Exactly. Like, and he's always like the second passive player on his team because he's not good enough to be the passive player, and it just causes problems. He just needs to join a worse team and be a star. The problem is he's proven himself to be a good role player. I mean, literally, put him on FlyQuest. Like, let him farm like 1.5s against teams I've never heard of, and just get him back.
If he replaced Liaz on FlyQuest would instantly get better.
Yeah, and I like Liaz, but
I like Liaz.
A fit and firing JKS is the best player Australia's ever produced by a mile. So it would just be more like I'm just kind of. I don't want to see JKS used as a role player anymore because he did it for one tournament well on FaZe. Like, I want to see him as a star on a worse team.
It's going to get even fucking worse now.
Put him on complexity.
Yeah, makes them
Please.
much better. I mean, we'll maybe talk about those later if I decide I give a fuck, but probably
try not to.
But like, it's going to be so rough for JKS now if he is put into those positions. Like, it's not going to be a fun time for him. And his stats aren't that impressive anyway, but they're going to go off the face of the fucking earth because Liquid's T-side stats are already really bad. Yeah. Like, Twist is the only person. If you look at Harry's little fucking tableau tables, Twist is the only person who overperforms on average on his T-side rolls. Everyone else is under the target. Yeah. So I think 6 months' time, they'll address that by booting him and getting Hooksy or someone equivalent to Hooksy.
They are going to sign Hooksy, aren't they?
Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
they fucking will.
Sign Hooksy, yeah.
And if Ultimate ain't picked up by then, watch them get Simple as well.
You reckon?
I think, right, and I know Ultimate did fine at the major, but they played tier 2 shitters, so he would do fine, right? If Ultimate has 6 months, like the few months in between the major and Cologne, where he's actually like not that good and his aggression's constantly getting pummeled and he doesn't adapt, they'll get rid of him. And who do you get? Genuinely, who do you get?
I don't know.
Because you've got very limited options. You've got Slend, sure. I think Slend's all right. But if you're Liquid...
What's 9-10's English like?
Probably not
Get
great.
him in. Get him in.
But if you're Liquid, at that point you're going to try Simple. You're going to see if it's possible.
Everyone's going to keep trying. They're going to try and make Simple happen, aren't they? Everyone's going to try it, and it's not going to happen.
But in all seriousness, I don't know who else they get. If they were to get rid of Ultimate... because
I'm telling you, right, minus JKS plus Jame just improves the team significantly. It just does.
What do you do with Ultimate?
Who? Okay, minus Ultimate plus Jame. Jame... They need... Like, if you think they need an AWPer, they also need an IGL. Just get in Jame.
I think that is the big disappointment for Liquid for me, because of course I'm excited to see Nerds on Liquid. Like, in theory it's the best team he's been on. It won't be, but in theory it is, and in theory it should be really good for him. Yeah. But this team still isn't going to work. Like, they've not addressed any of the issues they very clearly had.
Yeah. And
honestly, like, if they were going to sign Nerds, JKS should have gone as well.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just not enough. Like, Hooksy's out of contract like fucking tomorrow, man. Or he's already out of contract. Just get him in now. Don't waste another 6 months just to make 2 more roster moves. Like, bollocks.
The perfect player was Kixan, and Falcons spent a fortune on him, unfortunately, so you don't get him. Kixan is a selfless leader who calls rings around, like... If you're not a really good IGL, Kixan runs rings around you. He's like, I think he's so legit.
I do think, like, obviously Kixan did decent work with Apex.
Yeah.
And I guess we pivot into Falcons now as well, because we'll talk about their roster as the main thing. But Snappy did the best he ever did with Saw.
Yeah.
Kixan did the best he ever did with Saw.
Yeah.
If Kixan don't work here at Falcons, I ain't blaming him.
No.
I'm blaming the big man.
But you can also say that, like, oh, maybe he was propped up by Saw, which I don't think is fair. But Saw is clearly a very, very, very good coach, who probably shouldn't be coaching Sangal players. No disrespect, no disrespect. But he should be getting paid billions to
We'll talk about them shitters in a bit.
Yeah, he should be being paid loads to coach somebody good. Like G2 literally have Taz as their coach. Like, why is Saw an heroic? Why is Saw not being given
could
Monacy?
Potentially make Snacks into a good IGL.
Yeah, just it has to be worth trying. Anyway, Kixan. Yeah, I mean, Zonic. He's won a lot of majors, but on my brand new stat that I introduced over the Christmas period, which was majors without Dupree, he's currently on 0. So, you know.
In all seriousness, though, I do think, like, I haven't decided what ranking I want to see HLTV at by Austin or, like, after Austin, on the basis that they should get enough wildcard invites to be at Austin.
They will. Then nobody's going to not invite Nico.
Yeah. And, like, you know, if they go really far in Bounty, they'll probably push themselves into the rankings anyway. So what? Let's say Heroic were what, 7th, 8th?
Yeah, about 8th.
So depending on what they can climb, or how they can climb, and maybe what losses they take, because I'm not going to say I know enough about the ranking to know how much realistically a team can climb between now and the end of Austin.
No, I have better things to do than study those.
Well, exactly. I just don't care enough. Like, if they're not, let's say top 5 just for the sake of it, Zonic's got to go, blood.
Yeah,
he's got to go, man. Like,
I feel for Zonic for the same reason I feel for Snappy. That Falcons.
Oh, the previous Falcons team was fucked.
Previous Falcons team had no chance of doing anything.
Like,
had no chance of doing anything. This one does have a chance of doing something. You've got a genuinely
so it
good
absolutely has to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but then also you have Nico as a serial final loser. So what happens? Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The problem I have with this team is that I'm not sure where the ceiling is. I just think, in theory, this team has an insane ceiling, but I think there's probably a reason Dexter's never been on a top 4 team. I think Dexter's great. I think there's a reason he's never been on one of the best teams in the world. Whereas Tessus, Magisk, and Nico have all been on the best team in the world at some point.
I don't know if that's fair. I'm not... Okay. Do I think Dexter is an AWPer who can consistently be on the best team in the world? No. Could he be on a team that could get to number 1 in the ranking? Sure. It's whether you think that makes someone the best team in the world or not.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Like,
they can definitely win an event.
They can win tournaments with Dexter. But I think the reason he's never been on a consistent top 4 team is because when you look at the AWPers they've had in the years that Dexter's been at his peak level, who the fuck's he replacing?
Well, no, exactly. But that's kind of the problem is that when you're Falcons and you spend this much money and you have players like Nico and Magisk, unfortunately the expectation has to be signing one of the best AWPers in the world. And Dexter isn't Monacy. I
mean, with that... Monacy in particular is the thing that's strange about this Falcons team. Because you know his contract's just a ticking time bomb for Dexter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's assuming Monacy wants to go there, though.
I feel like he does. I feel like he probably quite wants to play with Nico.
But then why didn't he go last summer or this summer? Like, wasn't that the sticking point last time?
G2 aren't letting him.
Oh, okay.
I think G2...
Falcons spent $6 million on the heroic play. Like, surely you could just give them $3 million for Monacy. I think...
Didn't they apparently bid that and G2 just said no?
Why?
Because I think...
What's wrong with them?
Because I think it's that something in G2 is convincing them that eventually Monacy will be like, well, these guys gave me my shot. Oh, I'll sign the contract. And it's not going to happen. They're going to lose him for nothing.
The whole point of signing him for cheap as a young player is either you get his prime years, you know, not far off. Okay, now he's a superstar. Take the fucking 5x profit, please. Take the 4x profit.
I don't get it.
When he's got 6 months left on his contract, just take the money. Like, you're not going to get anything.
Yeah, because people have said like his contract will end in 2025, not at the end of 25, in 2025.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Like, just take the money and run. I know Monacy's arguably the best player in the world, second best player in the world, but if he isn't signing a contract,
yeah, just
there's only so much you can do.
Just let him fucking go, man.
Yeah,
because it's fucking 3 million.
The only reason I can think you would make that decision is if you think 6 months of Monacy earns you more than that in terms of sponsorships, in terms of prize money.
It won't.
It does. No,
it just won't.
I don't think it will.
How many tournaments do they have to win to make that worth it? And we'll talk about them in a minute, but they ain't fucking doing that.
I mean, they might. They might win some. They still have Monacy.
They might. Okay, right. They might win 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Maximum.
Yeah.
But it ain't going to be anything meaningful.
No. Well, yeah, that's fine. But
unless they win Kato, which they won't, they ain't winning a major with this team.
Monacy and Kato is different, man. He is different.
Well,
they weren't winning a major anyway. That's kind of the problem with G2 is that, like, unfortunately, they wanted to lose Nico. Fine, that seems to be the message. They didn't want to keep Nico for any longer, but they do want to keep Monacy. And unfortunately, if it's true, Monacy wants to play with Nico. You can't let one go and keep the other. Like, it's not really how it works. And if he has 6 months left on his contract, I don't see how it makes business sense to keep him.
So, I think we should talk about G2's addition in a minute. But what I actually wanted to ask was, do you, A, feel like this Falcons team is better than the last one?
Yes.
And B, how much of that is Nico than the other players?
I think Tesses is quite a significant upgrade nowadays on Dupree for most events. Maybe not a major, but for every other event, Tesses is an upgrade. And Madden. Dexter is an upgrade on Simple. He just is. It sounds silly.
But what about Sampaius?
This year, I'd say Dexter was a better player. I suppose last year. I think Dexter was a better player than Sampaius last year. I think at the end of CSGO, Sampaius was clearly better. I think both of them have actually very high ceilings. It's just Sampaius was more consistent in that ceiling. But I think Dexter versus Sampaius, you can count as even. And I think Dexter's quite clearly better than Simple now. Tesses is better than Madden. Magisk is as good as Magisk. Kicksan versus Snappy. Snappy did not frag. As much as I like Snappy, he did not frag on this team. And then it's like Nico versus whoever you think Falcon star was. And he's clearly miles better.
So, obviously, I just checked this, right? Let me just quickly apply a LAN filter just to make sure. Right, so, you know how everyone was talking about, like, Sampaius being bad this year?
Yeah.
Right? So, 2023, yeah?
Yeah.
On LAN, Sampaius, while we're still loving CSGO, 1.16 rating.
Pretty good.
Do you know what that dropped to when it went to CS2?
1.04?
1.01.
Yeah, he really, really... Part of that is the fact that Falcons were terrible. Part of it
He was still on Ensign.
He got worse. Oh, okay.
They moved to Falcons after World Final.
Oh, okay.
Well, pretty much during World Final is when they moved to Falcons, because thank God Cuban said that quote, because it was fucking hilarious.
He really struggled on CS2 at the start. I think he actually got better
1.07 for 2024.
Yeah, I think at the end of his Falcons tenure, he was actually getting better.
But he also wasn't good.
No, he wasn't. But
good.
he was on a dreadful team.
I actually would take Dexter.
Yeah, I would
Sampayas
at the moment. And then Kicksan versus Snappy. I think Kicksan's a better fragger at this moment in time. Snappy, since CS2, has not fragged. Snappy, great in-game leader.
Fragging anyway.
No, he wasn't. But I mean,
it was a drop off.
It was a problem on CS2. Kicksan, again, not a great player, like as in not a brilliant fragger, but I think a serviceable in-game. I think actually a very good in-game leader.
I'd say they're probably even as IGLs.
Yeah. Even as IGLs, I think Kicksan frags a bit more. Dexter probably slightly better than Sampayas. Tesses, big upgrade on Madden as far as I'm concerned.
And then Nico.
Nico versus Dupree, 5 majors versus 0. Gotta go Dupree. I think.
If this team gets Monacy, obviously fucking nuts. If they then get Jim Fat on top of that, obviously fucking nuts. I don't know.
Who does Jim Fat replace Tesses?
It would have to be Tesses, right?
That's a real shame.
And then for Tesses, you hope that Rain retires and he goes to FaZe.
That'd be nice. Tesses deserves to be on a really good team because he's really good.
Yeah,
he's just really good. Like, and he's quite underrated.
Like Vitality got him over Mezzi. I'm not sure that would be good, but like
he'd fit fine. But...
I think Tesses would land on a good team if he does lose his space to Jim Fat.
Yeah, he bloody well should. He's really good.
So I think Tesses is really good, but like, mate, if Falcons end up with Monacy in 6 months' time, I would not be surprised with this team to see them number 1 at the end of 2025.
Yeah, they're a theoretical number 1 at the end of 2025, but it's all theory.
Yeah. So let's talk about who G2 are. Signing.
Yeah.
HeavyGod.
Look, Nico's got big shoes.
Very big shoes.
Big shoes to fill. And do you know who's got big feet? HeavyGod. He must have big feet.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I've got to say.
Okay. HeavyGod is a good player.
Yeah.
He's maybe even a very good player who spent the last year of his life on pretty shitty teams.
Yeah.
But, right, I have no doubt that Malbs can step up to replace Nico when he has all the roles. I have no doubt that Malbs covers Nico's shoes fine.
You have no idea how great it is to hear somebody else say that and it not just be the voice in my head.
What, the voice in your head?
There's been saying that for 4 years when it wasn't true. Yeah,
but can HeavyGod
replace Malbs?
Which is a mental thing to say, really. But I think
that's Malbs is like
yeah. But I think that's what this team is now missing. It's like it's not going to miss Nico. It's going to miss Malbs. It's going to miss having that second person doing what Malbs was doing. And I think
you're right. That is a mental thing to say. It's not going to miss Nico. It's going to miss the player who's still on it. You're right. That is a mental thing to say.
But you get me. Like, it's kind of true. Like,
do you know who they need? JKS.
No, but like, okay, is Hunter gonna do that? Not in 2025. He fucking isn't.
No, he's not.
Is HeavyGod gonna do that? No.
Maybe. I mean, maybe.
But no.
I sort of have no idea how good HeavyGod is. I've watched him play a handful of times. I'm like, he's clearly decent.
I mean, the thing that concerns me is
beta, isn't he?
Well, yeah. The thing that concerns me is that Ethan says he's really good.
Yeah.
Which must mean he's really shit.
Yeah. Ethan has I've read Ethan has a record of backing the wrong horse, shall we say. The last player he said was really, really good was Sassanito. So, draw your own conclusions. Namiga
were going to make it to the major and do well.
Yeah.
There's many bad takes. I mean, when it comes to backing the wrong horse with Ethan, they were put down 6 months ago. Like,
yeah.
The horse ain't even in the fucking race.
He backs Red Rum every Grand National.
But yeah, I'm really worried for G2, and I think I would be equally worried for them if they'd assigned Jim Fat. To be honest,
Jim Fat, I think he would have. I think the drop off would not have been as severe.
No, it wouldn't be as severe.
Jim Fat's really fucking good.
It wouldn't be as severe. That's not what I'm saying. I just think with Malbs, they accidentally struck gold because they weren't going to fuck over Nico, and what they ended up creating was one of the most strangely specialist and best players in the world for 6 months. I mean,
he's brilliant. He's Malbs always had the mechanics to be anything he wanted to be. It just needed a great in-game leader like Snacks to bring it out of him.
Oh yeah, fuck you. We're not talking about him anymore. Fuck you. Right. So the next one on my list is FlyQuest, and I don't want to talk about FlyQuest that much, other than to talk about the incredible this new segment, which is now called Galaxy Brain Take of the Week, because I've decided I don't like Big Brain, and Galaxy can go either way.
I wanted it to be called We Are Going to Start a Dialogue, but I was told that was too wordy.
It is,
which is fair. But it's a good
too wordy. It's a good meme. Right. This one comes from Tea Time.
Who is going to start a dialogue.
And when FlyQuest announced that they signed Regali, he's retweeted it saying, actually a downgrade from Ali. How underwhelming.
Brilliant.
This is so off the cuff that we have to back it.
There has never been a poster since Davscow who has posted something that I have wished I have said. What a tweet.
Do you know what?
That is sensational.
He backed it up as well. Like, this could.
Yeah, no, he really believes it.
This is like a full-on, like, tweet you made back in 2018 and bookmarked it, and you've retweeted it in 2 months after that person finally wins a tournament. Yeah. Good. Like, this is a fucking top-tier tweet.
It's brilliant. He argues in the comments for it as well, and he almost won me over, but he didn't need to. You know, as soon as I saw how insane, like saying Regali is a downgrade from Alistar is, I was just like, yeah.
You replied.
You must know something that I don't, so I have to back you.
And it's like, so the most liked reply is Neo saying it literally isn't. You've never seen Regali play in a consistent team, if that's what you think. The second most liked one is just you saying, this opinion is so mental, I have no choice but to back it.
I have no choice. What a great tweet. I just wish I tweeted it.
It's a great take, and that's all we're saying about it. Yeah, I don't want to talk about FlyQuest anymore.
I'm not going to argue for or against it, because there are no arguments for it, other than yeah, fair enough.
Right, let's rattle off the last few teams then. Eternal Fire. Can't say I know anything about Jota. I'm assuming it's pronounced Jota and not Jota. I don't know why I did that.
It sounds like it's like he was naming himself just as like Sergio Aguero scored the winning goal against QPR.
Or someone just kicked him in the side of the head. Fucking Randy Orton's come in and punt kicked him. But like, I don't know anything about him. His stats look decent. Should make Eternal Fire more consistent, because unfortunately Calix is just a bit poo.
Yeah, I liked Calix when he was on Space Soldiers.
Yeah,
and he's never reached those heights.
when Calix was like the second best player on the team, because I'm pretty sure he was. He's now just
but I will say I would love to see the return of big man Paz. Always loved Paz. Yeah. Always loved Paz.
Yeah, bring him back. What was that coach's name again? Their coach had a really
Hardstyle.
Hardstyle, that was it. And he stood in for a couple of games and just got really amusing P90 kills.
Yeah, because he was like silver. He was like gold Nova or something. Yeah, like he was like actually. Wasn't it
a thing? He was like silver 2, and then he found out he was going to have to stand in. He had like 120 hours past 2 weeks. He was like, "Fuck this! I'm going to get at least one kill."
Yeah, I like the idea that he's like, these are 120 hours. They're going to fix it. Yeah. I mean, he got like 4 kills, so he did better than Guardian did that one game. So
big ups to him, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I hope it makes them consistent because it's a shame to not have them at the major. I still wonder whether they're like an actually quite good IGL away from being consistent. I don't dislike Major, but I understand like why people might be critical of him.
Yeah, but then he's the only Turkish-speaking in-game leader who isn't rubbish, so...
Well, yeah, exactly. Virtus Pro, this team is going to fucking suck. No, it's going to be fucking dog, man. Like, Electronic, right? We've used up our minute rant.
We've also done a minute rant on Electronic, I think, already.
No,
Actually, it was more than a minute, I think.
I did FlyQuest and... I might have done Electronic,
PGL.
PGL.
We definitely had a go at... We definitely did have a go at Electronic
right,
for a while.
We've used up our minute rant this week. So I won't do one, but I will just say, he's a fucking dog shit IGL.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, I don't think he's getting lead.
He's so bad, man.
But I also think you have to be really bad to misuse Flip Fame Flammus. Like, it even sounds like a good 1-2 punch. Flip Fame Flammus.
I think that's
Come on.
I think that's a 1-2-3, mate. I think you've.
Well, yeah, but I was counting punch. Like, you know, and you do like rock paper scissors. So 1-2 punch.
All right, just make sure you get a good teacher for your kid.
Homeschooled.
Mate, you got to these days.
8 hours of deathmatch.
8 hours of deathmatch. 3 hours of like doing that.
30 minutes maths. 8 hours deathmatch.
3 hours where you just drop a tennis ball above them and improve their reaction time. Like, just do it to this 3-day-old kid.
How's your touch?
For context for anyone listening on Spotify, Elliot has just punched the air multiple times.
I was throwing a tennis ball at him.
Oh, was it? Because it didn't fucking look like that. It looked like you were beating up...
I was throwing a tennis ball at him and saying, how was your touch?
It looked like you were beating up your unborn child.
No.
No, would never. But yeah, Virtus Pro are going to fucking suck. Electronic's a dog shit IGL. The roles in this team are terrible, and I can't wait to see them fail. Although
if they sign a decent in-game leader, this team might be okay.
Do you know what? I've fucking thought of it, right? Because Icy's not that great. They need an IGL. There's this guy, James.
Yeah, well,
just fucking sign James.
James, I will like suggest James to most teams. He just would be better. I don't know why they got rid of him.
Yeah, fucking bullshit. New Nip, really fun. Actually, really excited to see that. If that team does come off, really cool team.
Actually decent.
We'll probably reserve how much we speak about them until they've played. But I'd expect to see these guys at events like pretty quickly. I don't think they should struggle.
I'm glad that Wrinkle will be on a team that has actual like players on it.
Yeah, I mean, I have my doubts of how high his peak is, but I'm glad he's going to get to at least a chance to display it.
And look, if there's anyone who you would trust, like Snappy is our RGL, he will get the best out of a player who's
he got so much
talented
more out.
And inconsistent.
He got so much more out of Sunpius when Sunpius first joined Dents. So
he's the only player who ever made Yugi look good.
And also, right, the best thing I think Nick did here, other than kicking Rez, how the fuck did they get shush?
I don't know.
How did Astralis not get shush?
I think Shush's stock is kind of low at the moment. I think he's been kind of bad recently, and it's like, look at the team he's on.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Astralis have Stare.
Yeah, I mean, they love Stare though. They think Stare's great.
Yeah, well,
they're like all in on. They spend so much money on it, they kind of have to.
Yeah, well, some people think that Meth is great.
Yeah, and they're right.
I'm not sure they are, actually.
How would you know? I mean, Shush is clearly an upgrade. Like, you know what we were saying earlier about G2? Actually wouldn't be a bad signing for them. Shush instead of HeavyGod. He's not Mouths, but he gives you stability. He plays all these difficult positions.
I don't back that one. Don't back that one.
I just think you could just fit him into most teams and just
Maybe, but
I like him.
I ain't backing that one. New heroic. Fucking rough.
I mean, I do feel sorry. I mean, they took the bag. They took the bag and signed another team that will get invites.
I mean, I feel really sorry for them, but that team ain't good, man.
No, but they've...
I mean, maybe they surprise us.
I was one of the only people who was high on the old team when it was formed. I was like, there was a lot of people going, "Oh, this team looks bad." I'm like, "What are you talking about? This team looks great."
I seem to remember that I said they would get to the top 10, but I didn't think they'd be in the top 10 long.
Yeah, or I think
I was right.
They would have been top 10 for a while.
I think if I went back and watched that deconstructed and then looked at the weeks they spent in the top 10,
yeah,
then I probably did actually get it right.
I think they got there, and I think they would have stayed there, but then the season ended. Is how I would have.
Yeah, I don't think they would have climbed much further than where they were.
No, probably not. But I always thought that team had quite a high ceiling. I don't know what the ceiling of this team is, but it's not as high as that one, and I think the floor is quite a bit lower as well.
If they can stay consistently top 20, fine. But Heroic are never going to be a top 10 team with this team, unless some player suddenly becomes God again, or Nilo really sets the world on fire.
Yeah, the thing I'm worried about on this team is that when Eternal Fire replaced X-Flout for Wicadia, they went from a team you would literally never see a game of to the 7th best team in the world for a bit. And it's like, how bad is X-Flout?
Well, because I'm pretty sure as well, Jota was like their big star.
Yeah, he was their best player, I think.
Yeah.
Like, when I've watched X-Flout before, I've thought he's pretty bad. Youngster, I've watched once or twice, didn't think much of. Sun Pius, if you can get him back to form, he's brilliant. People like Linus as well. Like, whatever, I don't have any opinion. I didn't think he was that good, but people seem to like him. Sun Pius is like, they're kind of all their eggs are in the Sun Pius basket. You get him back to the form he was in Ents, this team actually does just get like 12 because he's that good. He took Movistar Riders to top 10. Like,
the one thing I will say about this team, Sangal were one of the better tier 2. I actually think they should be classified as tier 3. I think the way we all view tiers is fucking stupid. But whatever you want to call that bracket, Sangal were one of the better ones last year. It's just with the system that we had, it was difficult to break through and difficult to get to lands.
Mm-hmm.
They should get a few lands out of this, so it could be quite interesting.
I think they'll get to a lot of lands. I don't know if they'll be any good, but I think they'll get to them all, which is
so
basically the reason
it could be quite interesting to see them grow and develop. I'm just not confident in whether it will be successful. And the last team that I think is worth mentioning is the team I think is a really big winner of this whole Rostermania is Mouse.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
They've got away with it, and I don't think anyone expected them to get away with it.
No, I mean, it sounded like they were even at some point trying to sell players and couldn't.
Because I honestly think that Mouse could have been left with any number of players. And I think there are teams that could have benefited from any one of their players, maybe not Brolan, but that's probably like just because I have faith in Brolan with Shui, and I'm not sure if I do outside of that.
I think Sui is a puppeteer, and he's stringing along Brolan's half like limp body,
and probably Exertion as well, but it gets a bit too heavy when he's on a stage.
Exertion, I don't really rate Exertion anymore. I used to, and then I saw him on a stage.
The thing that bothers me about the Mouse players, it's a completely separate point that we're now making. I'm not sure I back any of them other than Jim Fat and Shuey.
Torsey's great. Torsey's really good.
He wasn't without Shuey though, was he? So, and he had Dexter.
Yeah, we were under Dexter.
Dexter's systems are fucking garbage. But I'd like him to just stick with Shuey, just so he doesn't get thrown into doubt.
I'd back Torsey nowadays, anywhere.
Maybe.
He's great.
I like him. He's also a nice guy, so I hope he's.
I can't speak on that. I don't care. He could be a cunt. I don't really care. He's a good player.
But yeah, Mouse biggest winners for me. Like, I know we said Vitality and FaZe are big winners.
I think FaZe are big winners, and they solved a big problem. And
yeah,
like they solved a problem in there. I mean, it's a nice problem to have, but it was a problem nonetheless.
I do expect to see Mouse slip down the rankings a little bit. So I think FaZe will be better.
I think Mouse will stick around 4th in the first couple months because I think a lot of teams...
Oh yeah, no, the first couple months is whatever, but I think longer term I expect FaZe to be above them, Na'Vi, Spirit and Falcons, Vitality. I'd expect long term will all be above them.
Yeah. I'm not sure who else you could even classify as winners from this this like roster shuffle. I mean, there's still some teams who haven't finalised. Like maybe Big improve. They've benched Searson and Regon.
Yeah, but they're
really
apparently picking up Kyubi, who's terrible.
Is that who they're picking up? Okay.
Apparently, and it'll be like Hyped, who's also dog water. I mean, Complexity might be the biggest losers. It's hard to call Heroic the biggest losers because they made so much money.
Yeah,
so
I actually think they're quite big winners, even though their team's worse. Like they made so much money. Complexity
for me,
lost their start.
Are the biggest losers. I think this team's utter shit.
Oh, actually, I think Nip were big winners. I think I'd have Nip as one of the big winners.
Nip
I think their team's so much
big
better.
Winner.
Yeah.
Do you know who's a big loser? And they haven't even made a roster change. M80. They got to play with Keto now.
Only for an event, isn't it?
Oh, they said broken leg, so I think it might be.
Well, yeah, but you can play with a broken leg. It's
not if they won't let him. Not if they won't let him fly.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. Look, Keto's fucking rubbish, man.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of like Keto.
No, I know you do because
there's just something about him. I just like him.
Okay.
You know, have you ever seen the Neil Warnock thing on Adel Tarab? Where he's like, I just walked into training one day and I saw this kid. I just liked him.
But you like Keto because he's basically you. He's got fairly okay crosshair placement, dog water utility usage. He's a bit brain dead. His positioning's not great. Like, he's just you.
Look,
but German.
I'm not a bit brain dead.
You're exceedingly
the rest is fair.
Well,
no.
You're not brain dead.
I'm a very, very clever player. That's why I don't need utility. It's training wheels.
Ah, no, I've certainly lost enough rounds where you needed to throw a bit of utility or you threw the wrong.
I know, and I've lost many more because people have thrown bad utility. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, not me, mate. My utility's fucking phenomenal.
Most people should throw less utility.
Most people shouldn't play CS2 because it's bad.
Most of the people, yeah, I mean, a lot of people shouldn't play Counter-Strike. They just don't have the chops for it.
No, they don't have the, what was it? The Huevos.
Huevos Rancheros.
Yeah, they don't have, yeah, fucking hell. Right, we need to go. We need to go because we've decided the winners, the losers. We've spoke about all the rosters and, yeah, I don't even want to talk about Blast Bounty because there's nothing to fucking talk about yet.
Not yet.
We'll talk about that next week, I imagine, because we'll record that one like after the first day, I think. So we'll have a lot more to talk about with that then, and if the format is actually working after a day, because it's a fucking interesting format.
It's a great format. I hope it works.
I really hope it works. But yeah. Can
you tell he's never ended a podcast before?
Well, I have, just not this one, and I've suddenly remembered I didn't bother to look at people's Twitters. So he's AZ-esque, I know that. I'm Animo CS2, and there's a 1 in it. And Elliot, what's the other fucker's names?
I don't know the extra.
Mac.
Big Mac.
James
Serpa.
They produce and edit.
Yeah.
Apparently.
They'll make us look a little bit less stupid in this outro, hopefully.
Yeah, and sorry guys, next week I'll bother to learn your name. Right. See you later.
Mine.
I'm unlucky, I know you.